Swimming is the most difficult sport out there, no questions asked. In this video, I'm gonna break down the 5 most difficult swimming events in order, descending. We asked you guys on Instagram what events you thought are the most difficult, the hardest events, and we got hundreds of responses. In this video, we're going to definitively state what is the most difficult event in swimming. You guys can debate down below in the comments. If you guys are new here, what's going on? I'm Coach Ferris, and here we help you take your swimming to the next level. So if you want to swim faster and smarter than ever before, you are in the right place. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So why is swimming the most difficult sport? There's so many reasons to give, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give you 3 of them, and you guys can let me know in the comments what I missed. So water is 800 times more dense than air. Let's just take a moment, pause, and reflect. 800 times. So anyone else doing any other kind of sport, they're doing it on land, and they're moving through air. If you're a swimmer, you're moving through water, which is 800 times more dense. Let's just rules down, break that apart. Next, 100% of your body is engaged. So because the water is so thick, because you have to move through this medium that is just so slow, every single muscle is being engaged, and that makes you so tired. And on top of that, your air is restricted, so your face is underwater and you can't even control when you breathe. So when you think about it, and you go for a run, you do any other sport, you can breathe whenever you want. And certainly you have a cadence when you breathe in swimming as well. But think about that, 800 times more dense than air, you're using 100% of your body, and you're doing it while holding your breath. Whew. All right, now that we got that out of the way, swimming is the hardest sport. What makes an event difficult? And there's a few different variables that take into consideration for this top 5 list. So the first variable is the distance. So, if you do 25 meters of something, maybe that's not as difficult as doing 10 kilometers of that distance. So it's a lot more difficult, I would say, in my humble opinion, if you're doing something that's a lot longer. Now, the other thing to consider is intensity. So if you're only racing something for 25 meters, for example, you're probably gonna have a higher intensity for that period of time than if you did something for 10 kilometers or 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 minute, right? And so for 10 seconds, you're gonna hold a higher intensity than 10 minutes. Important consideration. You also gotta consider different stroke variations. So each stroke uses different muscles. We talked about, it's a total body workout, but some strokes use more muscles than others in different parts of your body. And so depending on the stroke variation, and you factor in the distance and the intensity, that's another thing to consider. You also have to consider the specialty of the athlete we're talking about. So for some people who are naturally good at backstroke, for example, a 50 backstroke is not as difficult for them as someone who can barely swim backstroke. You could say the same thing for every single stroke. Butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and of course freestyle. Most people are comfortable swimming freestyle. But still, some are more comfortable swimming breaststroke. And so depending on what your specialty is, that will actually impact. Another variable is your training requirement to be able to do the event. Now, this is probably the best example that we can talk about, because if you take someone off the street, just any random person, if they know how to swim, they can probably do a 25 of maybe every single stroke. Freestyle for sure. If they know how to swim and they can make it to the end of the pool, they're gonna be able to do freestyle. For example, if you try and ask them to do a 200 butterfly or a 400 IM, they're probably gonna die. And so the difficulty is really dependent on how much training is required to be able to do the event in the first place. Some events, you can be really out of shape and you can actually swim pretty fast and it's not that difficult. That might be the 50 freestyle or the 100 freestyle. Other events, normally they're longer, normally they have more stroke variation specificity. These things require more training, more foundation, just to be able to do the event and not die. Those are a few different variables. One that I didn't throw on here is the distance in terms of pool length. So 25 yard, 25 meter, 50 meter. The pool length does factor that in, but we're just gonna kind of put that as a side case. We know that's a factor, and we're just gonna assume long course meters is the most difficult of the variations. You can make an argument that short course is more difficult for other reasons, but let's keep it simple for the sake of the video. So in 5th place, the 5th most difficult event in swimming is, drum roll, the 200 freestyle. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna give you guys some tips on each of these, but more importantly, why I think it's a difficult event. So the 200 freestyle is a cross between sprinting and middle distance. Some would call it a cross between sprinting and distance. Really depends on your swimming level and where you're at. But the 200 freestyle is basically a sprint in the sense that it's an anaerobic energy system that's being used. You're swimming for, 2 minutes, 3 minutes max. Some of the best swimmers in the world are only swimming for about 1.5 minutes, getting close to that in long course meters. And so because of that, you have to go fast the entire time. And it's very, very painful to go fast and not completely fall apart. And if you swim this event correctly, you will fall apart. And that's why it's really important to make sure you balance your speed and breathing on the first half of this race, because if you go out fast and you don't breathe enough, you will fall apart and it will feel like the hardest event in all of swimming. So that's number 5. Well, let's break it down. Let's see, number 4, it is the 200 backstroke. Woo! And you remember how I said long course? The 200 backstroke long course is just absolute torture. Your legs are under the water, you feel like you're sinking, and when you're on your back, it feels like the wall just never comes. You just keep taking your strokes. And for those who are not good at backstroke, raise your hand, that's me. It just feels terrible swimming long course, let alone a 200, and you just literally feel like the wall is never gonna come. Oh man, I'm in pain thinking about this event, and when I watch someone do it and I see them fall apart and their tempo slows down, it's game over. My condolences. Whew. All right, the 200 backstroke. And by the way, pro tip, when you're swimming the 200 backstroke, you've gotta train for it in the pool, in workout. You can't just show up untrained and do the 200 backstroke. I think the 200 free, you can probably fake it. That's why it's number 5 and not number 4. 200 backstroke, you gotta have the training, you gotta have the tempo, you gotta have the pace, you gotta do all that stuff in training, not at the swim meet. Oh man, all right. Number 3, the third most difficult event is the 200 fly. You got that right. The 200 butterfly is an excruciating event. And I know some of you guys watching probably wanna put this as the most difficult event. And like I said, some people can't make it a 200 fly, and that's why it is, because they might die trying to do the 200 butterfly, especially long course. Like literally might have to call the lifeguard and be like, help, you probably can't say anything, but you know, sinking in the water. 200 fly, it's very difficult. Butterfly burns the most calories. It's the most inefficient stroke over a period of time. Breaststroke is the most inefficient. However, butterfly is the most inefficient from a caloric deficit. You can kind of float in breaststroke. In butterfly, it's not called floating, it's called sinking. And that's what the 200 fly will make you feel like. We've all seen people go out hard in the 200 fly and completely fall apart, from beginner swimmers to Michael Phelps. I was there watching some of the best swimmers in the world, and they completely fall apart in the 200 fly. So condolences to all those who have to swim this, not tapered when you're tired and you just fall apart. God be with you. All right, so number 2, our runner-up is the most difficult event in swimming is the 1500 freestyle. This is the metric mile. So in swimming, we call this the mile. In America, we call this the 1650. But basically, it's about a mile. And the reason why this is the second most difficult, we have to go back to our evaluation criteria. Distance, I mean, let's just think about this for a second. It's almost 8 times as long as the last 3 events. I mean, you could put together all 3 of these events and it's almost 3 times as long. So from a total exertion standpoint, it's extremely taxing on your body, because you're definitely gonna burn the most calories. You're definitely gonna use the most total energy no matter how you measure it. So that's definitely, you know, on this scale, it wins that. Now intensity, you can make the argument that you're swimming at a lower average intensity. And that's actually true until you see the fast people swim this, and they pretty much go hard the entire thing, and somehow on the last 50 and the last 100, they're able to throw down a split that is absolutely mind-blowing. So the intensity argument, I don't really buy it. I still think the 1500 is an extremely difficult event for distance and intensity. Now, stroke variation, there isn't any. If you see some really good swimmers, they have dolphin kicks off the wall, but you're pretty much swimming freestyle, which is the most efficient stroke. So you got to consider that. You know, and then specialty, you know, if you're a distance swimmer, you can do the 1500 and it's still going to destroy you. If you're a sprinter and you try and do the 1500, it will completely destroy you, let alone if you have to swim this thing twice. Woo! And you might be wondering, why would you swim it twice? If you swim it in like a prelim qualifying, and then you have like a final top 8 or top 16 or something. So yeah, that is a killer right there. And before I tell you about the hardest event in swimming, I have to tell you about today's sponsor. AquaGuard Pre-Swim Hair Defense. After hours in the pool, your hair ends up feeling like straw, and maybe it even changes color. And while many swim shampoos help remove excess chlorine after you swim, they usually don't do enough enough to keep your hair healthy. And AquaGuard stops chlorine damage before it even starts. Just apply AquaGuard a few minutes before you hop in the pool or do an open water to prevent frizz and protect your hair's softness and shine. The hydrating formula seals your hair's cuticles to stop salt, minerals, and chemicals from causing damage. It's reef safe and good for all hair types, including colored hair and even curly hair. The MySwimPro team really loves AquaGuard, and I know you will too. Use the link in the description to save 15% on AquaGuard and use the code MySwimPro. Now we're ready to unveil the hardest event in swimming, in my humble opinion. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. The hardest event in swimming is the 400 IM. If you guys are unfamiliar, IM is short for individual medley. That means you do all the strokes. You go 100 butterfly, 100 backstroke, 100 breaststroke, and 100 freestyle. And we're gonna get into why this is the most difficult event in swimming. Then I'm gonna show you a workout that corresponds to it. And I wanna see if you guys are up to the challenge. You can follow it in the MySwimPro app. So when we're doing the 400 IM, often this is considered not only the most difficult event in swimming, but also the best test of how good of a swimmer you are. And so often we think about the 400 IM as like the decathlon of swimming. You're doing a little bit of everything. You got 100 fly, 100 back, 100 breast, 100 free. You have to be fast, but you also have to have endurance and capacity. So the training that's involved for this is really, really challenging. Let's go ahead and break down the why that this event, I had to cover it up because I didn't want you guys to guess based on what I wrote here. So let's break it down. You're basically doing 4 100s sprint. So you go 100 fly hard, 100 back hard, 100 breast hard, 100 freestyle hard. You're doing more than all of these if you break it apart like that. Then in terms of training, you have to train as if you're doing the 200 of every single stroke. So a really good 400 IMer, someone who's really good at the 400 IM, like a Michael Phelps was, or a Katinka Hosu, or any of these top swimmers, they are world class in the 200 free, 200 back, 200 fly, and 200 breaststroke. If you want to be really good at the 400 IM, you have to train for the 200 of every single stroke. That is a requirement. That's how it works. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I also have your sprint and D crew. If you're a 400 IMer, you've got to hang with the distance squad, and you can step up and race with the sprinters. Sure, you might not win in a 15-meter breakout, in a 25, but because you have the capacity, you're gonna be right there with all the sprinting stars when it comes down to in-training workouts, 50s, 100s, 200s. You can wipe the floor with all these people in anything over 100 when it comes to doing anything IM related. So definitely some specificity required. And on race day, you have to do this twice in one day. None of the other events are as excruciating to do twice in one day. Think about it. 400 IM in the morning, 400 IM in the afternoon. Even the 1500, they never do the 1500 twice in one day. They always give you a full night's sleep and you do it the next day or 2 days later if you have to do it twice. And oftentimes the 1500, you only do it once. The 400 IM in a race, you've got to do it twice. And so mad respect for anyone who does the 400 IM in not only a timed final competition, but when you have to do a prelim and a final. Oh my God, it's so difficult. Anyway, guys, that's what I think is the most difficult event. I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And if you guys want to take your swimming to the next level in the 400 IM specifically, you have to train all of the different strokes. That means you have to train IM, you have to do freestyle, you have to do sprints, you have to do fly, back, breast. Remember, you're training for the 200. And we have a workout and training plan in the MySwimPro app that's perfect for it. It's called IMX Pro Challenge, and you can get started and it'll really train you for the 400 IM. We also have the IM Get Fit plan, which is designed for the 200 IM if you guys are interested in that. Now I want to go ahead and tell you guys about a workout that's designed for the 400 IM. So if you've made it to this part in the video, thank you so much for watching, because I'm about to show you guys something that's going to probably blow your mind. And if you're a true IMer, you're going to really understand where I'm coming from in this video, and you'll probably see how you can adapt it if you need to your specific training goals, swimming goals, whatever you're trying to do. So right now, I'm gonna pull up on screen what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the 400 IM Sizzler. It's a 4,400 meter workout. I'm gonna show you guys at the end how it can be modified. Now keep in mind, all the intervals I'm gonna show you on this workout are designed for me. So if you're faster, slower, just keep that into consideration. Let's go ahead and go right into it. So we're starting with a 400 freestyle to get things warmed up. Then we're gonna do 850s kick. We're gonna do them IM order. So we're gonna go butterfly kick, then flutter kick, then breaststroke kick, then flutter kick, and we're gonna go 2 rounds of that. Then we're gonna go 825's drill IM order by 2. That means we're gonna go 2 butterfly drills, 2 backstroke drills, 2 breaststroke drills, and 2 freestyle drills. The great thing about the MySwimPro app is that we have drills embedded within the workouts, we have videos, we show you what the drill is, but let's keep moving. Main set, we're gonna go 1 round, and of course you can do this 2 or 3 rounds. It's gonna make the workout way longer, but let's go through it 1 round. You can see the pattern pretty easily. You're gonna start with 450s of the stroke, and then 4 100s frim, and you're gonna repeat that 4 times, once for each of the strokes. So let me summarize what that really means. You're gonna go 450s butterfly, because butterfly is the first stroke, and we're gonna do those on a best average. So it's kind of like a broken 200 butterfly. Then we're gonna go 4 100s frim on the 130. This is just aerobic swimming. If you're not familiar, frim just means freestyle IM. So there's no butterfly. We go 25 freestyle, 25 backstroke, 25 breaststroke, 25 freestyle. Then we have 450s backstroke, same as the fly. These are on the minute, and these are best average, basically a 200 broken. So you're gonna try and hold a pretty good pace on all 4 of those. Then we have 4 100s frim again, and then 450s breaststroke, again, broken, best average, trying to hold that 200 pace. Then we have the final round where we go into that 4 100s frim, 450s free, best average, and then we're gonna finish off with 4 100s frim again. And that main set is a meaty 2,000 meter plus set. You're gonna do that 1 round, and then we've got a bonus special for you at the end. It's a broken 400 IM. You've got to really put it together here at the end of workout. Like I said, it's a balance of endurance, capacity, and speed, and that's why the 400 IM is the hardest event. Basically, the way you're gonna do it, you're gonna go 850s. For me, it would be on the 50, and you're basically just trying to hold your goal 400 IM pace, your splits. So you go 50 fly, 50 back, 50 back, 50 breaths, 50 breaths, 50 free, 50 free, and you should not be able to get out of the pool when you finish that. Whew! I'm getting tired just saying it and thinking about it. So after you do that 400 IM, it's really important that you flush out the lactic acid, do a nice aerobic swim. If you look at this cool down, it's actually pretty long. It's a 600 meter cool down. You're gonna go 450s freestyle on the 55, nice and moderate. Then you're gonna go 250s a little bit faster on the 45. And you're gonna alternate that. It's basically 2 rounds. And in total, this workout is 4,400 meters. If you guys do the main set 2 rounds, that's gonna add 2,400 meters. That's gonna put you at 6,800 meters. That kind of a workout at about 7,000 is what some of the elite swimmers in the world are able to do in training for the 400 IM. A lot of athletes who also train for the 200 IM are also doing something similar to this. But if you notice, we trained a lot focusing on the 200s of each of the strokes, basically doing a 200 broken. As you can see, this workout is really specific to the 400 IM. And if you like workouts that are like this, check out the Get Fit IM plan. This workout is definitely a level 5 in the MySwimPro app. So all these workouts are at a higher intensity, higher volume, more stroke variety. But like I said, it's available in the MySwimPro app, and you can check it out, linked down below. Finally, if you guys have not joined our Facebook group, it's the largest digital swimming community in the world. And if you're an OG and you're still watching at this point in the video, I hope to see you in there. Thanks again for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and happy swimming. Bye.